Welcome to Even the Dog Has ADHD, because apples don't fall far from trees and there is never just one. You are in for an absolute treat today, because today you will be meeting the amazing Shari Teigman, and we are going to deep dive into diagnosis, labels, and identity, and what it means, in particularly in the entrepreneurial space. Shari has over 10 years of coaching incredibly just amazing entrepreneurs. And I've had the privilege to work with her over the last year. And we decided to record this conversation because it's been a conversation we've had many times over the last year. Diagnosis, labels, and identity. Let's dive into it. I am so thrilled to have I call Shari my Queen Shari here today, who is my business coach, who has just held me so beautifully in all my complexity. And we've had so many conversations about identity, diagnosis, and labels. And I said, let's press record. And she very graciously and kindly agreed to come on here and chat about it.
Yeah, I'm honored to be here. Thanks for
So,
having me.
oh, I'm so thrilled. So for me, I was diagnosed really late in life, and most people see a diagnosis because something's not working. And I'll just simply say, like a lot of people, my life was a hot mess, and getting messier was on fire. And I was going through the diagnosis for my then primary school aged kid. And I stumbled across a World Health Organization adult screening questionnaire for ADHD. And I went through and I thought I was thinking about it for somebody else, not me.
Always. I feel like everyone has a version of that.
And I was going, oh my gosh, that's me. That's me. That's me. That's me. That's me. Okay, I'm going to go and seek a diagnosis. And for me, when I got that diagnosis, it felt I've the only word I can use was I felt so validated.
Hmm.
My struggles had a box to go into, and coaching basically saved my life. I literally will say that. But when we've talked and you've held my complexity beautifully, you've held my journey with my faith, my passion and desire to support adults like myself, and I remember when we first met, and it's something that's really helped shape my work, is we're going to create a safe box, and we're going to bounce around in the box.
Exactly.
And and when we've talked about how you view yourself with all your creativity, what's the phrase that you use? You're
A
create
maverick, a
a
creative
maverick,
director. Yeah, I mean, cat in the hat. Pick your fancy.
or creative. You use a phrase
Yeah,
to do with creative.
yeah. So I
And
always have a creative strategist, but not just business. Just I design things in life and business in a creative way because that's how I'm wired. I've always been wired like that. So I only see creative solutions to any sort of problem. It's not to sneak out of something, but if it doesn't embolden me to want to go deeper into something, then I won't go to the party. So I can't have something that doesn't feel creatively alight to me, even if it's not a creative project. Like I cook creatively, I parent creatively, I do everything creatively. And I always thought there was something wrong with me that I just couldn't do everything normal. I don't know what normal means anyway, but that's how I'm wired. I don't really look at this is my living room. This is not that's actually how I live. Um, the more color, the more diversity in humans, in textures, in ideas, in conversations is what keeps my juices flowing, my heart racing. I feel very alive. When I have to march in line, I can't even say I don't feel like myself. I don't feel anything. I feel very numb. So it's funny you call yourself complex. To me, you're not complex at all. You're just a fabulous patchwork of a human being, just like other people don't understand themselves. So to me, and beautifully, you come to me humbly and very self-aware. This is who I am. This is how I function. I wish everyone knew how they functioned, diagnosis or not, but you
Mm.
so understand yourself. And I'm so glad the diagnosis gave you the validation. But what I have lots of favorite things about you. One of my favorite things about you is you never once used it as an excuse. You use it as a way to find another clue for yourself how to be where you are, shine in your best way, lead how you're meant to lead in all areas of your life. And who wouldn't want a toolbox like that, whatever each of our toolboxes are
Mm.
filled with? And I so obviously not only resonate with it, I so respect it in you, because what we'll talk about today is many times the labels hold people back, or they feel like they then fit in a box finally being understood, but then they can't do anything with it because this, and this about them, where I believe the complete opposite. Find out what's in our toolbox and then let's use it. So do you. But I think the diagnostics have given a lot of people a lot of relief, but also given them new labels to tell them why else they can't do something.
Mm. And I remember, like when we talked about your identity, it was on the other podcast. I said, "Oh, that's so interesting," where you shared that bit about yourself. You did your coaching training, you did the website, and I think you said you lay on a log for a
Oh my God,
picture.
I have to send you the picture. You're gonna die. Like a snowy fairy princess. Like, what? Look at me.
It
What?
just wasn't you. You were trying,
Not me.
and that's that identity piece. And you've got the whole vibe about Maverick. And do you want to just you described it so beautifully, but I'll let you describe what
Thank you.
it is to be Maverick.
So I think when people hear the word, they think of either Tom Cruise, which I understand from Top Gun, or this loud, rebel, colorful, which obviously I'm loud. I'm naturally rebellious, but that's not what this is. A maverick is when someone hears the beat of their own drum louder than everything else out there. That doesn't mean they can't participate in being with other people or being alone, but it's really finding that individual beat underneath all of the noise and all of the echoes of the louder world of what we're supposed to do, what we're supposed to believe, how we're supposed to behave, and finding out what's true for you in your life and in your business and leading with that. The reason I say it's not a rebellion is because a lot of rebels spend a lot of energy being anti-establishment or anti this, and they spend so much in the anti world, they actually never find out what they want. Where this is openness, love, acceptance of other people, and just
Mm,
saying, you're amazing. You're an individual. I'm amazing. I'm an individual. That doesn't take either my individuality away from yours or yours from mine, or take any power. It's two powerful units coming together. That's cohesion and collaboration, is when we each know ourselves. We don't have these blended lines of do I fit or don't I fit. I don't try to fit anywhere. So that's not a question I ask myself. So I either fit nowhere or everywhere. So I choose everywhere.
and the work that you do, you hold space for incredibly successful entrepreneurs. And I have been in rooms with people where you're holding this space and it's a big group of people and the tears come. Now, to create safety for such a range of people where they get to show up and just be themselves within a group. A lot of people don't know each other even within that group. And there's definitely, when you're all running your own thing, there's going to be an element brought into that room of
Oh,
performance,
always.
but you hold the space and the tears come. Let's
Yeah.
talk a bit about the tears.
By the way, my tears come also for anyone listening. It's not only the person crying. I think being American, working solely with Brits essentially for 12 years, so like maybe 5% of my clients have been Americans. I feel very honored to hold a culture similar to mine, but different, where I can see generationally and culturally emotions have not been really welcome, either in academics, in entrepreneurship, development, Brits by nature. And I know this is a generalization, and I'm okay to make it because I've worked with thousands of people. I feel like I can say it as a generalization. Is we don't go above the parapet. We don't show off about what we're doing. We don't speak out of turn. We're humble. We remember, in America, we have a race system. In England, there's a class system, and it's still here, and it's fascinating to me because I don't understand it. And
Mm.
now I do. It's so foreign that I can automatically see. I'll have a client with a Lamborghini, and all he wants to tell me is he grew up in a council estate. I'm like, okay, like it's so foreign to me. So the tears come when someone feels witnessed. And a lot of people have never been witnessed. So many people sit in my rooms and say, what made them cry right there? It's just the space being held. And I'm not diminishing the power of community, because sometimes, like you said, the performance comes in, we could actually hold it in more. But when I am very open and vulnerable, and I do it with humor and I do it with self-deprecation. That's not, it's, I'm just myself. So I'm comfortable. I always joke, it's like, it's a big therapy session for me. I'm going to tell you all my stuff. You're all welcome to tell me your stuff. So because I don't come in with performance, I think it gives people the ability to dabble in this vulnerability without risking anything outside the room. And sometimes what makes people cry is just the full up cup of, it may not even be something they knew was bothering them, but it's just a release from all the pressure and all of the rules we think to have and all of the
Mm.
performance that we perform ourselves alone, besides what everyone else puts on us. I mean, if anyone spoke to me like my worst critic does in my own mind, I'd get a restraining order against them, Diana. Like, I would never let a human being speak to me like that. And yet, da, 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 in my ear, despite doing what I do and years of doing this work. So I think the tears are a softening and an opening of some space for someone to say, like you said, I'm safe and I'm held, and whoever I am in here is completely okay. And that is all I ever want to do. If that's what anyone gets in a room and learns nothing, I did my job. The learning part's great and fun and additional, and we do lots of it. But if there's no space to hold something new, it doesn't matter how many smart things I teach anyone.
Mm.
They can't pick it up. Our hands are filled with all the crap we think we're supposed to carry anyway.
Yeah, that's so true. That new learning, if you've got an old mindset when you're particularly running your own business,
Yes.
when you're moving to a new phase or your business is taking a move or a shift. Now you have a beautiful quote up in this room that I was in yesterday that I wanted to read in relation to where your mindset is and as an entrepreneur and where your business is. And it was such a brilliant quote. It says, you said, oh, I have to just get it up here. Here we go. The speed of your business growth is directly tied to how fast you're willing to evolve. When you step into the next version of yourself, your business will have no choice but to follow.
Yeah. And it's the complete opposite direction that anyone tells us. Have
Mm.
the plan, have the strategy, have the big whiteboard with everything lined up. And then there's tiny little you looking up and going, oh crap, who's going to do all that? I am not capable of doing all that. And this isn't just at the beginning. This is at every stage. Okay, I could be in front of a room of 20, but 100 people, 500 people. And we have to, I don't believe in battling ourselves. We have to, I call this a scaffold effect. I don't believe in balance because to me, balance, I think one of those old variety shows in the 60s, it's just a cute old man spinning plates and then you never know what's going to drop. What do we actually focus on then? Nothing. But when we have a scaffold effect of our identity and our identity and our business, if I only focus on my identity, I can't grow my business because it's now too small for who I am. If I only focus on my business growth, hoping it'll save me from myself and pull me up, you will stunt your business growth. So we've got to stay in communication of understanding what is the next level of business require of me to heal, open, learn, evolve, let go of. And then my business dances straight up with me because it's an energetic match. It makes sense. I'm ready for that growth. But they don't go they go hand in hand and they go separately, but they never go one instead of the other. They can't. We've all tried it. It doesn't work.
Mm. Now, there's a I I was trying to find the stats, but from what I understand of the limited research done on entrepreneurs and being neurodivergent, big focus is on ADHD, not autism, I might add.
Mhm.
Um, there is a cycle, isn't there, that we know of burnout,
Oh yeah, with the
and it's
wars that come with it. Hmm.
and it goes and the bazillion ideas
Yes.
and this the I want to get run with this, right, I've lost interest, I want to run with that,
Yeah.
which is put under the neurodivergent banner. And I think a lot of entrepreneurs, certainly the ones I speak to, will recognize things in themselves, but they've made their life work for them.
Yes.
They've harnessed a lot of that thinking
Mhm.
stuff, that internal tug of war is still going on.
Mhm.
And certainly when on another episode I recorded with the lovely Naomi Holbrook, who you know, we kind of explored, because she doesn't have a formal diagnosis, um, and doesn't feel the need for one,
Mhm.
can recognize the traits in herself. And I think that's something that's really important. Like, it was a journey for me with the
Yeah.
diagnosis. I was still doing coaching whilst I was on almost the pre even thought of a diagnosis, going through the diagnosis and post diagnosis. I've always got a coach
Mhm.
over a counselor or a therapist. And I think culturally in the States, people are quite, certainly my friends in the US, most people have a therapist.
Yes.
And really interestingly, there's a couple that, well, I find it interesting, a couple that I follow on socials, and they were part of what helped me in terms of my awareness. I like fun, so I like to watch stuff, that ADHD stuff, where it's like, here's the thing, this is so ADHD. I find that more
I also find it
helpful.
funny. Of course. Also, we need to poke some holes in the seriousness of everything, even with diagnostics. And I'm not diminishing it, but
Yeah.
there are characteristics that we can all laugh at together. So I, similar to Naomi, I call myself a creative. People diagnose me all the time, and I have no need for it. I don't feel like I struggle. I didn't struggle in school. Later in life, I feel like our society, the cell phones, the technology has amped us all up. So even those who may not have a diagnosis definitely have lots of tendencies. Additionally, with the creativity and the speed in which my brain works. Like every time I get off a big stage, I'll get a message from someone on social media and say, "Oh, you're ADHD like me," and I'm always in.
Really?
I'm always curious what to answer because I never would ever shame anyone. And I've
Mm.
learned. I said I'm not, but I understand why you think that I am, and
Yeah.
to them it's a recognition of someone like me can get up and do the things that you do. So
Yeah.
it's a I'm allowed, and I'm like you're allowed no matter what around me with whatever you got, but
Yeah.
I don't identify with that because I don't feel the need to. That doesn't mean that if you say, and I always joke around, people say, "Oh, have you taken the test?" I'm like, I don't have the attention span for the test, Diana, so I couldn't sit and take the test.
It's
I'm slow with
horrible.
everything.
It takes forever and it puts loads
I
of
have
people
no
off.
patience. There's not a chance.
But this then comes back around to identity and self. So
Yes.
just kind of, and it's really about our, if you want to do that internal work.
Hmm.
So whether it's like what you've just shared, your life works for you.
Yes.
There is no desire, need to explore that. And then when people identify traits in you as being neurodivergent, it's almost like permission giving, like, oh, if you can do it, I can do it. That identification
Yes.
with
Because they
others.
see the qualities play out in what they see as someone successful. I'm not calling myself successful. I'm saying the distinction they're making is she's like me, she can have that, therefore I can have that. Which
Yeah.
also shows us identity in humans. It has none of that has anything to do with me. They're identifying a quality that feels familiar to them. So when someone says it to me, I take it as a compliment. Someone was once standing next to me, another speaker, and like, how could someone say that to you? I'm like, oh, what they mean is you're fun, you're all over the place, you have so much energy. I take it as a compliment because the people that I'm around are neurodivergent doers. We're not talking about the people who want to sit in support groups and not be allowed to do anything or say I can't. Like the world is our oyster when we find our own way with whatever you've got.
Yeah.
So I think also it's from my upbringing. I also have a religious upbringing. I grew up Jewish, as you well know.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess because I grew up in a modern world with all of the old school tradition, I was always learning how to fit in. So I only eat kosher, but I'm in the UK all the time and I can't. So I eat vegetarian. Like I'm used to adapting and adjusting no matter where I am because I'm always the same but different. I have been my whole life, both personality wise and also belief system wise. So I grew up only
Mm.
around Jews, going to Jewish school. And when I expanded my world later in my life, it's like, oh, so I fit in, but I don't fit in. So I think that trying to be like everyone else has never been something on my to-do list. So I don't know if someone meant it as an insult, I wouldn't take it as one because they don't know me. So why would they be judging me? So I think that's moved into every area of identity, even in how I perform. So you've been in a room with me many times where I'll say something very nicely. Someone's like, oh, can you say that again? I want to take notes. And the whole room laughs because everyone knows I can't say it again. I have no idea what I said. Whatever comes out is a surprise to me and you. So someone captures it because someone wrote it down. I'm like, anyone? Does anyone want to summarize? No idea. I'm not doing it to be funny. I have no idea. And I used to be, oh, that's not professional. I'm like, what am I doing? No one is coming here for structure and professionalism. So
Mm.
when I put down the expectation of what I think I'm supposed to be for everyone else, I get to just enjoy my own identity and laugh at myself. And when
Mm.
someone else laughs at me, I don't find it insulting. I agree with them because I know where my magic lies and I know where my weaknesses is, and they don't cancel each other out. It's just part of what makes me me.
And that's really key, isn't it? We are not just one thing.
Never.
We're all the parts of ourselves wherever we go.
Yeah.
There was this TV program in the 70s in UK called Wurzel Gummidge. Has Gary ever mentioned
No, I've
Wurzel
never heard that.
Gummidge?
The names of your TV shows. I
So,
haven't heard from Mr. Blobby. I just don't understand what on earth is
ah,
happening.
so Wurzel Gummidge was a scarecrow that would come alive. And he had different heads for different occasions, for different moods to do different things.
Me too.
And that's just what made me think of it. I mean, we like the thing that will often come up, particularly with later in life diagnosed people, is people trying to work out what is their neurodivergent brain, and that is just how they think. So
Mhm.
stop fighting against it and just go with it. Um, that said, people want hacks, like
Sure
hacks
do.
to fix themselves, and there is no fixing to be had.
No.
It's accommodating. And a part of
Yes.
that accommodating is being kind to yourself.
Sorry.
And that
Without
is
that,
really
you are
hard.
always feeling broken. It's very hard. Also, especially a lot of people who have been diagnosed later in life, been diagnosed, but suffered with a lot of the consequences their whole life. So they've got the stories of how they were treated in school, how stupid they felt that they didn't understand it, or the dyslexic side of neurodiversity is like, I sat and I didn't know what's going on. Now, entrepreneurship brings up every wound you've ever had in your life gets torn open when you open your own business. Scared of public speaking because my grade 3 teacher told me I wasn't good at it. Like everything you've ever stuffed under the rug will come pouring out all over you. So I think there are a lot of entrepreneurs who get these later in life diagnoses because they have a passion and a dream to do something that feels like them and they feel like the bottleneck. So for the first time, they're willing to find out what it is because it isn't because a teacher said they couldn't do it or someone didn't like that they were too much or too little. It's I'm in my own way of what I want, so I'm going to address it so that I can be the driver
Mm.
rather than the holder backer. And I think that kindness comes from frustration sometimes, is like, there's got to be an easier way for me. Your way doesn't work. Your way doesn't work. I've read 10 books. I'm not broken. Something's here. And it kind of bursts through, and it's beautiful when it does. On the flip side, you and I also see a lot of, like I said earlier, people use an excuse. Well, I can't because XYZ. Now, if that is the stopper, they would have found something to stop them no matter what. Like they're
Mm.
incredible coaches like you who work directly with this, both experiencing it and highly trained, highly experienced in the skill of understanding. And like you and I've spoken about, it's leadership for someone whose brain works differently. Great. So
Mm.
I don't have to go march in line with everyone else. I'm already in.
Yeah.
I don't even have the diagnosis and I like it because it means you'll see me as an individual. My own accommodations, not
Mm.
generalized accommodations. What does that mean?
And the burnout thing, I think, is familiar for probably every single person that has ever done their own thing,
Yes,
neurodivergent or
yes,
not.
yes.
Because when you're doing your own thing, you're bringing all of yourself, every
Yeah.
tiny little part of you. And there's no hiding from any of it, is there?
There's not. And there's also such a woven in mirror of my business and myself that's a lot of where my work cross sections to is if my business does well, I did a good job. I'm a good girl. I'm a good boy. If my business is struggling, I have to take all of my energy and fix it so it doesn't reflect on me. And that is exhausting, especially because business takes time. Money takes time to earn. Growth takes time on the energetic side and the practical side. But we put ourselves out in such a way in the world that we think it's supposed to be instant, and when it isn't, it is shattering to our own self-image. And then the neurodiversion kicks in, and then the hyper focus, and then the overworking of neurodiverse or not, and our brains go faster than our bodies, our brains go faster than the market. We play that adrenaline game of a new idea will save me from the idea that I was too scared to launch. So we get into this speedway of chaos that actually ruins good business ideas because we're in such performance proving that it has nothing to do with what we know or what we know how to do. It's just how fast we get somewhere that may not even be our destination.
Mm.
It's exhausting. Then we wear burnout as a badge because then there's new content to talk about. I burned out. Now I'm finding a new, it's this constant belonging and expression constantly maneuvering around us.
And so this word, I can't think which of all these things have opened up
I
in
gave
my
you a lot.
head.
Standard Shari sentence.
Which door do we go down? Which door do we go down? I think so. Like when your work, how would you? So you're bringing out Maverick, the book. Have you got a copy there to show and tell? Yeah,
How me is that cover?
I know, it's so cool. It is so cool.
I'm so proud of it. So it's actually a dummy one. There's nothing in it yet, but they've made me the cover and the back. I can't lie. It comes out in May. But so the reason that I made this, it's called the Maverick Way, a field guide to coming undone on purpose, is because I don't want someone to have to need me to do this work. While it's my complete honor to get to walk with people like you, there's a whole world of people who will never meet me. And I may not have time if they do meet me. So, and a lot of this work has to be done on our own. It's a sacred road of understanding who we are, how we operate, what works for us, what doesn't. And not everyone wants a witness to that all the time. So,
Oh, that's
if
really
I can be honest with myself, then I can come to my coach, my community, my clients, my family with a different lens on, saying, I don't have to be defensive and put this coating on to protect me from your judgment when I truly understand myself and can laugh. Like the whole book, we'll call it a journal, but it's really a field guide. It's chaos. It's like Willy Wonka inside, crazy exercises to do. There are QR codes to videos with me. It's a real adventure because I truly believe it doesn't have to be as uncomfortable to get unstuck as it was to get stuck. So when we bring
mm,
humor and love and compassion for ourselves into it, it's like, oh, I don't need to carry this with me everywhere. So many of us have carried so many of our stories for so many years that if you tell me I can just put it down, I feel weird about it. I'm 52. I've been believing that for 51 years. I'm just supposed to put it down on the counter and walk away. What if I don't know who I am without it? So the reason I wrote the book was because I want people to understand themselves without having to say it out loud in the room, without having to wait for someone to prompt them, but to want to understand themselves for themselves before the rest of the world gets you, before your business gets you, even your partner and your children. What do you know about yourself to be true? What can you be proud of? What can you be compassionate about? What can you let go of? What can you laugh at and be like, how the hell has that run my life? That's ridiculous. What do I want instead? So it gives us some bandwidth to, like I said, if we put stuff down, we can much more easily pick up and discern. That's not a business model for me. Even though that coach at the front sounds really sure of themselves, they're telling me the sky is green and I think the sky's blue. So no, thank you. I appreciate it. And you and I've
mm.
watched this in the room when we see all different types of people at all levels trying to shove themselves into a spot because then they'll fit. And I'm like, what? That doesn't even fit your business model. Why would you be listening? But we were never taught the discerning ear. We were taught on sailboat day in school, you make a sailboat, even if you want to make a rocket ship. Otherwise, you get in trouble. So all the rocket ship people stuff their rocket ships quietly or do it, on their hands and not on the paper. And we learn to sneak our differences and our uniqueness around the bends so we don't get in trouble, but we still feel like ourselves. And then as life goes on, we don't even look for it anymore. My
Now,
goal is to bring out all the rocket ships and then let them build around the sailboats and we can all play together.
gorgeous. I've got a fab picture in my head of all those rockets, all different shapes and sizes rockets with all
Yes, you
different
and I
shapes
have
and sizes boats. Now, I know we're gonna record a little series separate, but I do think it's worth having this conversation around identity. Shari and I are going to do a little mini series because we have our stories echo each other quite a lot. So we've mentioned our faith very briefly in this, but I do think it's worth mentioning in this episode around identity and labels and all of that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like we've had that same experience. Maybe just touch on it briefly of being raised in a faith community.
Mm-hmm.
I certainly chose faith as an adult, and I did my best on the self improvement, following all sorts of talk, speech, doing my own stuff
Mm-hmm.
until my world imploded. And then it was the biggest white knuckle ride ever in terms of faith. And I held on and I dug in really, really deep. And I would have to say that it wasn't about giving up ever on the faith. It was asking the harder questions, or what does this really mean for me, my identity? And I know, like, certainly my faith in God, I'm like, I am not a circus poodle. I
Yeah.
will not be performing for anyone.
Yeah.
This is the way I'm made. And that's where I'm at right now. And it feels very connected, but in a different way.
Yeah.
And
You
I
just
know that
literally explained
echoes.
how I
I don't know
can,
how
and
much you want to
I feel
share.
exactly the
Echo.
same way. For me, very similar to you. And it's funny, it probably does have a lot to do with identity because I grew up in it and I didn't have I would say I grew up in the snow globe. And after my divorce, I felt outside of the snow globe. But my faith never changed, but the practice changed. And because I grew up in an Orthodox community, I had to reconcile where this big, loud personality fit with not the rules. I mean, I never had a problem with it. I grew up modern. My family was modern, but it's still a lot of structure and a lot of ritual. And for me, I couldn't feel through the people. I couldn't get back to my God because I had a lot of bad experiences in the community with the divorce and, all the stuff that goes along with people doing something different than everyone else is doing.
Mhm.
And I know that the God I believe in knows exactly who I am and is very happy with the Maverick version of me. And I believe in him. He believes we got a good thing going on. But the community got in my way of being able to access because I no longer fit in a two kids, one husband, picket fence house, and the structure, especially in Judaism, is every weekend and a lot of family time and together time. And when you're a single person in that, there's not a lot of space. So sitting at home on a Friday night singing the Sabbath songs by myself, that was a lot. So I went on a dark road. I never disconnected from God, but I disconnected from the practice part. And I've come around in a very different way to even more faith. And I love how you said it's deeper questions. The time I felt God the most in my life is in when it's dark. I don't like that to be true, but it's when everything else gets stripped away that I then feel God the most and feel my connection the most because there's not that all of that outside noise. So I realized I can recreate that, not waiting for only darkness, but when my mom was laying in a bed after a stroke, and it's like God was sitting with me. My grandmother was on one side, God was on the other side, and we are in this together. When my mom passed away, when things have happened to me and my kids, I'm like, well, where is it the rest of the time? I'm just too busy being a controlling human the rest of the time, obviously, because God, my version of God's not going anywhere. My faith's not going anywhere. I'm just not staying connected to it. So I have gotten more reconnected and be like, oh, the fun and playfulness and expression and manifestation pieces come through my faith. They're not, for me, the new age stuff or the spiritual world stuff, although I completely align with it because to me it comes all from the same place. And I feel now so blessed that when people I work with suddenly stumble upon, let's say, Kabbalah or a philosophy. I'm like, oh, I grew up in that. When I trained as a yoga teacher, we would do these Dharma talks, and everyone would laugh and say, how are you so good at these talks? I'm like, because I went to Jewish school my entire life. We took the weekly portion of the Bible and we made a parable and we talked about what's relevant in the current world. That's how I grew up. So I just forgot to use all of this back in my life. So now that I've come back around with my Maverick version of connection and faith and spirituality, I'm only sad for myself that I felt I had to move away in order to come back. I had to. I needed a perspective like you. Like, we've got to recreate a new relationship with who we are now, not who we thought we were, because to me, God will always come with us, but we have to make a seat for it.
And it's a whole different exploration, neurodivergent brains and faith, and different expressions of faith, and how people view ADHD
Yeah.
and autism.
Mm-hmm.
It's that within a faith context is so multi-layered, depending on culture
Yeah.
and religion. But all of that external stuff really shapes our identity. All of
Absolutely.
that
And like I said, that's the
intersectionality.
people part of faith, but that's like not the faith part. Like, we're all perfect in the eyes of God.
Mm.
We're all children of God. So
Mm.
nothing's not how it's supposed to be. It's just part of our soul journey or experience. So when we can lead with that, even the hardships then become, to me, transmutable, something we can work with. We were given it for a reason. Would I like to give a lot of it back? Yes. But no, thank you. I don't want that. But that's not how it's not a return shopping cart here.
So then I guess what we're kind of, I feel like we're talking about is how community shapes our identity. And
Yes.
you've mentioned this a few times um in our conversation about when we get a diagnosis,
Mm-hmm.
there's that whole community of being neurodivergent, and it's another community to fit into and belong to. But then there can also, on the flip side, be the pressure of being performative
Yes.
within an adult diagnosed
Yes.
community.
Yes.
And also, sort of being the age I am, there's a lot more, or we are, there's a lot more conversation about the menopause as well. And how does
Oh,
that shape you and define you, and how does that affect
yes.
um, a neurodivergent mind, and the lived experience through that? um, it's so multi layered, isn't it?
But all of it is identity, because all of it is who we are in relation to it, whatever that it is. So for me, menopause completely changed. My menopause and my mom dying hit at about the same time. That was fun. So the past 2 years have been an absolute roller coaster and the greatest gift in a lot of ways, because I've had to slow down so that I don't overrun myself, which is
Mm.
not natural for me. But it's made me more intentional. It's made me ragier. It's made me more patient and less patient in different things. It's made me pickier about what I allow in my world and what I'm okay with and what I'm not interested in at all. I don't have to people please. It's a fascinating thing, especially when you go into your 50s, and I spent the last 15 years in personal development. I will never say I think I got it, but I thought I was doing pretty okay. And then the rug comes out from under, like, oh God, I got to use all those damn tools that I tell everybody else. And like, in moment to moment, when someone's talking to me and I can't remember my own name, it's a real raw, bright mirror of who are you going to be when you say you are this? Can you be that? I'm like, I don't know
Mm.
all the time. I don't know all the time. And like we said, multifaceted, and that complexity, where does it work for us and where does it hurt us? And where do we hold on to it out of protection? And where do we use it as a shield? Like, it isn't even about changing the things that we are. It's about learning how to operate the machine better. First for
Mm.
ourselves, which most of us have never done. And then for everyone else. Even that is a new direction.
Yeah, giving yourself the space to put yourself first, and
Mm.
from there everything but that can feel so alien for men as well as women.
Absolutely.
Like,
Absolutely.
that, my business first, my
Mhm.
employees, my wife,
Yeah,
my kids, my friends, my hobby, I've got golf
totally.
in my brain for some reason.
Absolutely.
I don't know why golf. Um, Thinking about all of that at some point, I think a lot of people, when it's too noisy, will get to that point. This is kind of, I guess, the burnout thing of just
Yeah.
needing
Yeah.
to quieten everything
Yeah.
down, and actually this safe space to do it yourself or to do it another person. I know a lot of things that people struggle with. When I think of like some of the other guests that we've had on the show, they have they have learned so much with their own story, and they want to then support others within it and create a community of mutual support. So there's definitely something there about, but and it's like, where is it where community is a beautiful thing when you're transitioning your
Mhm.
identity at one level, but then we've also already touched on when community can make you feel like you need to be a certain way,
Yes.
and
Yes.
then that feels really hard.
Yeah.
So there's those two things, isn't there? Community can be both those things at the same
Perfectly
time.
said. And underneath all of that is when you know who you are, you can learn how to use the community properly instead of another place to hide, which sadly is what happens. It works for us for a short period of time, and then we again don't fit because we're meant to evolve. And it's like, oh, this new room is now too small for me. And then we think there's something wrong with us. We're just listening to our own beat, and it's not a dig against anyone else. We're allowed to outgrow and evolve, but we as humans crave belonging so much that we do belonging first before identity instead of the other way around.
Oh, that's so key, isn't it? It's about identity first,
Yes.
belonging second, because
Yes.
when you feel more you, like what you said about when the rug was pulled from under you, where you've got to is, I'll go there, but not there.
Yeah.
I want to do this, but not that.
Yes.
I want more of this. Just that, that kind of knowing inside, and you don't feel obligated that you're hurting people because
Yes.
you're being true to this. So that
Wonderful.
gives all those non-options space to be that community that is,
Yeah.
or whatever.
And
And
like
I find
you and I both have, we have different areas of our life. So I
mm,
still participate in lots of the Jewish world I grew up in. I just don't feel like an outsider anymore because I use the parts that work and the rest I don't need for them to see me. I see myself. So I'm good. And then I'll go to my entrepreneur crowd and they don't have to be my only world because that's not healthy either. And then they start fighting online and I don't do drama. Or like for you, you have your academia world, you have your art world. Like there's different versions of you that go everywhere. Like, why would I only want to be in one room when there's this whole amazing, delicious, crazy world out there that I can go fit in wherever I want for whatever period of time I want?
yeah.
Doesn't cancel anything else. It's just more of me.
And there's the okay to start saying, and it's only it does, nothing has to be forever,
Yes.
and it works until it doesn't work, and it's
Yes.
okay to change.
Yes, and that's not a disagreement. That's not a rejection of anyone else's wants and needs. It's just I am complete. I use the term, and it makes me laugh for myself. I have Mary Poppins moments, like the wind blows, and I'm done. I'm complete there. So my umbrella opens with kindness and love. I'm out. So I don't have to nestle myself in to then feel unsafe if I go. And what's everyone going to think? I'm good. I don't
Mm.
leave a trail of destruction around me. I just pivot to what works next for me.
And then that's the same, that same mentality. Oh, so there's a really, what I've got in mind is that the and then I pivot and then we change is
Yeah.
different to, I got this idea, I'm pivoting there, and this and that and this and that and this and that.
Evolution versus constantly trying to connect the dots to feel validated and contributing to the chaos. The
Mm.
other piece is the same strategy here works in business. So you see some people online pivot. They're a basket weaver one week, and then they're intuitive healer, and then they're a business coach, and then they ride a unicycle. Obviously, I'm being facetious, but not that facetious, where I am who I am. I teach about being a maverick, and it evolves. So because a program I loved ran last year that I loved, I don't want to do it again. That doesn't mean my stuff doesn't work. It means I create enough safety around me that wherever I do next, my people will come with me because they trust where I'm going to take them. And that's something people forget to build in their businesses, is that trust that you've got me, whatever it looks like. It's not how many calls are in the program, or this one's 50 pounds more than. Nobody's looking at that. Is, are you the person I can trust with my stuff, whatever it is? And will you take me where you know I can't see to go? So we allow that evolution within our business too. Had a membership, I closed it. No one thinks I'm fickle. I was finished with it. Trust me, you don't want me in anything that I don't want to be in. There will be 3% of me. I cannot force myself into things. So I've had to learn to that release and let the new thing come in. A new idea always comes in, and it's never when I'm sitting in a computer. It's when I'm in the line in the supermarket, or I'm in the shower, or I heard a song and it drops in, that space making and allowing for the evolution lets us develop our ideas, our expression, and our implementation. It's not just ideas and they never go anywhere. It's because we don't have the room to implement, because we're gripping to the old.
Mm. So it it's having that core bit is really, and whatever for, so for me, my diagnosis is part of that core,
And it's beautiful.
and it just gave me so much confidence to be able to do the things that you're talking about, with that doesn't work, that works, I'm going to do this, I'm not going to do that. But that it was on, yeah, that was really a big part of me, certainly with faith, getting to a point of, I'm not a circus poodle. I
And
am
there's not
not.
one time just now that you said that's right, that's wrong, because that's not part of this conversation.
No.
Everything's right and everything's wrong for everyone. That it does not come in here. This is what is right for me right now, what works for me right now. And that's not being fickle. That's being truthful and honest to yourself. And
Mm,
that only spreads good truth and honesty with other people. If
yeah.
someone can know who I am and that I stand for what I am, they never distrust me. I don't have to distrust myself. I am hearing my own beat. When I hear my own beat and I give someone else permission to hear their own beat, we get into cohesion. If not, we beat each other. That's just look at the world.
Mm, mm. And so I guess, like, we kind of probably will be rounding off now. We're so good. I cannot believe we're keeping to time. Um, uh, just sort of reflecting, what for you would you love somebody to take away from listening to our conversation today? What would be
Hmm.
the.
I'd love someone to take away the freedom to play in the space of thought, even if they don't change anything yet. Even if it's one thing that we said that hit someone, say, what would it look like if I fill in the blank? Because both of us are very big on possibility and permission from ourselves, not outside. I think you and I, by nature, are less interested in what everyone else thinks. We're more caught up in how we think it's supposed to look, or we have that in common because we are creatives. We do see big vision, so it's hard to shrink that to make it work on a day-to-day basis without
Mm,
feeling like it's not enough. So, if you are someone who feels the judgment from the outside world more than maybe Diana and I, what is it you want to be known for? What is it you want to feel inside of you? Where is your beat? What does that look like? Even if it doesn't currently fit in your life, in your family, in your work, when we find the beat, it starts pulsing in our ear and we start noticing it louder in certain rooms and quieter in other rooms. Use it as a lens in which to see the world. What do I want more of? What do I want less of? So Liz Gilbert is one of my favorite authors, and I saw her speak a few years ago. And she said she had a year of, she called the year not this. The entire year was not, I don't want that. I don't want that. It was relationships. It was money. It was where she was living. She spent a year shedding what she didn't want that is how, in my divorce, at the end of my divorce, which was a rough period of time in my life, all I knew was what I did not want. I had no idea who I was, and I had no idea what I wanted. But I first had to find out what was not working for me. I had to make space in my hands. So it was not this. And then it started, I'll try that on. I'm willing to be curious. And it takes a while. This is not an easy process, but it's that honesty and that beat you will always come back to, that will always be true for you no matter what. It doesn't have to be turn your life upside down.
Yeah, you
It
don't
has
need
to
to
be
set it on
subtle
fire.
moves. No, you don't. You don't.
As you were just saying that, I remember the story comes to mind of when you were going through that divorce and your friend who's the yoga teacher said, why don't you come? You're like,
No, I'm a stubborn mule. I don't want to do yoga. Why would I do yoga? And then it was too cold in the lobby of her studio. I would sit in the studio, watch people come in and come out looking like they had plastic surgery and went on a vacation and came out. What goes on in that room? Still wouldn't walk in because I'm stubborn and I don't want to do things when there's my rebellious part. And one day it was wintertime and it was freezing in the front room and only the back room was heated. She's like, don't be an idiot. Just come in the back of the room, sit on a mat and sit quietly. Like she didn't know exactly what she was doing. 5 minutes later, I'm in child's pose, hysterically crying on a mat. I'm like, oh, so this is, I didn't do a pose. I just laid in one spot for an hour and it changed my life
hmm,
because I let myself hear my beat
hmm.
and
But you
feel my,
resist it. Initially, you resisted it, didn't
I
you?
resist everything. Let me say this flat out. You now see what I speak about and you know what I do. I hate change. I like safety. I like certainty. I also like maverick adventures and I like big life decisions. And they makes no sense that they go together, but they do for me. So if I love growth, but I don't like the change part. So I've got to drag myself. This is not easy for me naturally. Some people love that, throw themselves off a building and find out what happens. I can't even watch a roller coaster, Diana. So like
Mm.
for me to get to this place was not this nice little pretty picture. I was dragged by my nose to let go of what I didn't want, to step out of a life that did not work for me, and slowly, slowly find what does. And I still have to do it. Still, 16, 17 years later, it is still an everyday choice to hear my beat and remember what's true for me and get myself tangled and get myself untangled. It's the beautiful chaos of being a human.
Yeah. And it is about being human. So I think we'll do a full stop because I can think of about another 100 things that I'd love to chat with you about. So we will put Shari's book link because I can guarantee when this goes out, the book's going to be published,
Yes.
and links to Shari's website and all the good stuff. So thank you so much for coming. If there's one thing that I hope you take from this episode and our conversation, it's that you do not have to blow up your life and that you can start making changes with one honest, not this, at a time. Especially if you're still maybe wondering if you might be autistic or maybe ADHD or maybe ADHD, both autistic and ADHD. Since recording this episode, something has really come to mind to me around identity, because essentially I think this episode has been around identity. And that is when you get your diagnosis, or perhaps you recognize neurodivergent traits in yourself. Because when you're exploring your identity in your 20s, it's kind of different when you're exploring your identity, maybe 50s, 60s, or 70s. The oldest person I know got their diagnosis in their late 70s. So, really, it comes back to who you are and who you want to be. And I hope that some of this discussion that Shari and I have had has given you a bit of inspiration. And because it was such a long time ago that we recorded, her book is out. The actual real live Maverick Way. And the links will be in the comments below. It is such an amazing book and resource. You kind of get to journal. I don't like writing in books, so I have to have a notebook. But it's really, really interactive. I'm just looking for the QR codes. She's designed it so you can go into it. Gorgeous pictures. There you go. QR code, watch a video. Shari in your pocket. So without further ado, apples don't fall far from trees, and there's never just one.